Hi everyone, it's Margaret with Creative Stamping with Margaret. Thanks for joining me today. This card is one of the cards that was the focus of this month's card classes. I pick a specific bundle typically each month. Sometimes that varies, but this month we're focusing on the Regency Park Suite Collection, which is product available that's in the mini catalog. You'll find the details of that suite on page 30 and 31 in the mini catalog. Let me set this to the side. The card today is a fun fold card. As you notice, it has a belly band on it, and then when you open it up, you just pull these flaps to expose the interior of your card where you can place a larger message. And this card really highlights that Regency Park Designer Series paper that comes in a 6x6 card pack size, and it's just an array of colors. So be sure to check that out in the mini catalog, or you can check it out. Just go to my blog and you can link there to the online store and see all the products that are in the suite. But we have this just gorgeous fun fold. So I'm going to set this to the side because the stamp set we're using is Sentimental Park, and I'm using the Let's Celebrate and the word You. And then, as you saw on the interior, I just stamped the happy birthday, and that comes from this set as well. One thing that I really like is this die cut that I'm using on the label of the belly band. It in the die set, the Sentimental Park dies, you have this large rectangular shape with the flowers, open flowers and embossed flowers on them. And as we go through the process of making this card, you'll see where this label tucks right into the little slots there. So I love that that's cut. So for this card, all you're going to need from the die set is these two pieces that I've shown you, and then the two pieces that have the small flowers to add a little bit of contrast and color to that. Now, if you ordered the card class kit to go, you will have received the materials to make this card in your kit. So you'll have to do your stamping and so forth. I have done some of the die cutting for you and prepped your other materials. So you may have a different color cardstock that's or excuse me, a different color of designer series paper. All of the bases are using this Petal Pink cardstock. And if you're watching and this and want to replicate the card, don't worry about dimensions, score lines, etc. I will have all of that in the description below on this video, so you can just refer to that. I'll also be posting this on my blog, Creative Stamping with Margaret, so be sure to head over there and check it out. So in the kit, the materials that we need, we have a piece of basic white, and this piece is, roughly 3 1/4 by 2. Depending upon what designer series paper you have, you'll either have navy for the little die cut flowers, which you should have those flowers in your kit. But if you're making this on your own, you'll need just a scrap of whatever contrasting color of paper that you want to go with your designer series paper. Then we have a piece of Petal Pink to cut our frame. Then you'll have a piece of 1 inch, and this is just a regular cut from the from the cardstock, the 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So this is a 1 by 11, which we'll use to make our belly band. So let's set that to the side. We have our interior piece. Then we have 2 small strips, and this is 1 by 5 1/4. So you will have 2 pieces, 1 by 5 1/4, and then we have 4 pieces, which are 5 1/4 by 1 3/4. So as you see here on the card, I did the 2 small on those folds that open the card up, and then I put designer series paper on the other panels. So now let's start doing our folding. Let me just move some of these things out of the way. So the first step that I advise you to do is just to go ahead and fold in on the score lines next to where that center panel will go. So just take your bone folder and score along those fold lines. And you'll see how that just overlaps. Now take that front piece along that score line and just fold each one of those back. And I didn't, let me make sure I have that lined up. I got that off a little, but let me just straighten that up some. I don't think I did a very good job of scoring on this one. There we go. So now there. So we're going to take and add our designer series paper to our different flaps. And we'll do this on both the outside and on that inside of that flap, of that large flap. I just thought it added a nice touch to add the designer series paper on the inside as well. You could also take and stamp flowers if you wanted. Use one of the floral stamps that's in that stamp set. But I decided to really showcase the designer series paper on this card. And one thing that I will let you know, and you'll see that when you are cutting the cardstock for this card, this is 5 1/4 by 11. So it uses more of a full sheet of cardstock since we're making it with all of these folds. We needed the 11-inch side. So to get the height of our card, we had to use the 5 1/2, cut the other part off. And I will tell you, when I was cutting the first batch of pieces for the card class, I did almost an entire package of Petal Pink, cut at the 4 1/4 by 11, just like my mind was in another world. So now I have lots of Petal Pink cut to do cards with, but that's okay. It will definitely get used up, but I just sort of created more work for myself. So see, now we have that done. let's go ahead and start with our belly band. And I don't like to score the piece that I'm using for my belly band, because I have found when I try to determine where the score lines need to be, they just never seem to line up exactly right. What I find instead is I like to put the band down because I want to cover the front of the where it meets. So see on the back of my card, it's a straight piece. I don't have any overlapping of cardstock that's being shown because our die cut will cover that. So I just like to lay down and then I press it and sort of make the score there. And then I'm just going to overlap and do the same because I want to make sure I can slide that, and I can. And now I'll take my bone folder and just apply that. So let's put a little bit of adhesive on here. But see how much better it looks on the back, not seeing that overlap. So we can set that to the side. And this is where you would take and use the large die, the larger die. There's two in the pack, this large one, then there's a smaller one that we'll be using on another card. And so we'll place this, and we're going to run this through our die cutting machine. But I have already prepped one for us, so I have that ready to go. So let's do the interior panel with our sentiment. And since this background uses shaded spruce, I'm using shaded spruce ink. Now if you have a navy background, you may want to use a navy color, or if you decide to use the Sweet Sorbet Designer Series paper in the pack, you may want to coordinate with that color. And these are two different stamps. The U is separate from the Celebrate, from the Let's Celebrate, but you notice they line right up. That just cradles right in to give you the perfect distance when you're doing a sentiment like that. Now I'm going to bring in my mini cut and emboss machine, and as you notice, I have the boho blue, which time's running out. If you want to get this, it's available. If you decide to become a Stampin' Up demonstrator, one of the items that you can select is this boho blue mini stamp and emboss machine. And of course, I just had to have it. As a demonstrator, we were allowed to order one. And even though I have the white mini, I really wanted this blue. So we're going to lay this down, get this on here, make sure I have that on there. I think I've twisted that a little, and I did. Let me just, I know it's not in camera for you, but I'm lining this up so that I get a good cut on each side. Pull that off to the side. And there we have our sentiment cut. Now this will tuck right up under these little flaps. You can just tuck that in. I did not even add extra adhesive. I found that it just tucks in there nicely and holds into place and lays flat. But you can decide if you want to add additional. So now we will add this to our belly band, and we're going to add that using Stamping Dimensionals. And what I like to do when I have a piece like this is sort of place a couple on there. And if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I like to use a lot of dimensionals. And with something like a belly band that gets handled more than just opening a card. Oh, my finger just stuck to that. So I really covered the bases with this. Then we just set that down. I'm going to slide this off. I'm going to pull in the center panel for our card, and I'm bringing my shaded spruce back in, and I have the happy birthday sentiment. And of course you could stamp another sentiment if you wish. You could change it up, but I have a lot of birthdays here in the next few weeks, so I'm going to use this card. And actually I have one of the flower stamps that comes from the set that I'm actually going to be using on another card. I think I'm going to go ahead and just embellish the corners of this one, which I did not do on the others, but we'll just do it on this one. We'll just dress that up some, which I'll also do on my envelope before I mail it. I will add a little, so let's put a little adhesive on the back of our center panel. Well, that's not where that goes. We line that, place that in. We'll just slide this belly band on here. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you can cut the strips, some of your scraps of the little flowers, as I did here with the navy, and I'm doing the shaded spruce. So I'm going to use my mini glue dots just to add those to the card. It just adds a little bit more interest, having a little bit of a contrasting color with that picks up. And then what I like to do for these small flowers is when I take the glue dots off, I'm actually rolling it. I'm using the tip end of this to roll it so that it doesn't stick out over the sides. That's just a little tip for you. You'll see how I just take and just roll that. And then I just place it and pull it off. So our last flower. Then the last thing that we have to do is add our embellishments. And the embellishments that I'm using are the Adhesive-Backed Milky dots, and they are part of this Suite Collection. So you can see them on page 31 in that mini catalog. And for this, I'm going to use the lightest color up at the top. These are just gorgeous. You can use them for so many different projects. I'm using the smaller ones. See, I didn't get that one quite centered. Then I'm using the largest of the Adhesive-Backed Milky dots for the larger flowers. So that has completed our Fun Fold card using the Sentimental Park bundle and the Regency Park Designer Series paper. Let's see if I can slide this one on here. There. I've got it upside down, but let me lay both of these to the side so you can take a look at them. But you see how easy and simple that wonderful card came together. I hope you've enjoyed watching the making of this card, and I hope that you'll give it a try. As I said, the measurements and the materials used will be listed in the description of this video, as well as I'll be posting it on my blog, so you'll see the details there as well. And I appreciate you stopping in and watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and sign up for my blog, and check out signing up for my monthly newsletter as well. This is Margaret Knight with Creative Stamping with Margaret. Have a great rest of your day.